At Universal Epic Universe, the Kronos Tower is now complete. The targets for Fire Drill over at How to Train Your Dragon are being installed. Work continues on this park opening in 2025, so let's take a look at the most recent construction updates. Today we'll start in Celestial Park. This is the central hub and will have restaurants, retail shops, and rides. To enter Celestial Park, we must go through the Kronos. In our last update, the tower was incomplete. However, now the Kronos has the second half of the tower installed as well as the very top. The medallions for each world are also inside the tower. The yellow frames that were bracing the tower have been taken off. The US flag has been added to the very top of the Kronos. This is done to mark the completion and high point of the structure. The Epic Universe logo has also been installed at the front of the Kronos. It's looking very nice. Behind the Kronos, as we enter Celestial Park, we come to the Luna Overlook. Concrete is in the process of curing as they continue to work on this area. In front of it is a basin that is lined blue, plus more cement in front of the basin for the other water features. On the last update, the curved stairs were installed. Here we can get a better look at it from this angle. It's believed that the stairway leads to access the top floor VIP room. Here's the entrance in between the Kronos and security. Some concrete forms have been created and a steel frame like the others we have seen inside the park. More green frames have been installed on the side archways. These are the same style as seen on the side of the Kronos. Here's a recent overview of the park. At the arrows are some recent concrete walkways, and at the numbers are recent concrete forms. Number 1 is in front of the portal to Super Nintendo World, and 2 is just outside the portal off to the side. Number 3 is just outside the Atlantic restaurant by the entrance to the restaurant. Number 4 is by the smaller water features near the Atlantic restaurant. Number 5 is outside of the How to Train Your Dragon portal. This will be different than the other concrete circles in front of the other portals. This one will have greenery inside of the concrete forms that are being created right now. It also has some concrete foundations around it that stick up above the ground, so the entrance to the Isle of Berk will not be just a flat concrete circle like the others. Next to Constellation Carousel is Astronomica, the splash play area. More rebarb is being added to the outer edge of the circle as they continue to prepare for concrete to be poured. Next to it, there are some concrete forms that are a recent addition. The Atlantic restaurant is designed to look like a Victorian aquarium. We can actually see a little bit inside. With the glass walls, it has been hard to really see all that is going on inside, but we can make out the walls that divide the seating areas on the different levels. Stairs can be seen here. On the outside, the pillars are missing. Those will go on the corners where we can see the metal boxes and the indentation on top. Here's how it looks in the concept art. This snack kiosk is believed to be the Starbucks location for Celestial Park. Work is being done on the roof and facade. This is the other restaurant, Blue Dragon Pan Asian restaurant. They're continuing to add color to the outside of the building. Also, some light poles have been painted just outside of the restaurant. Here is how Celestiki Bar is looking so far. It's next to the other food kiosks. Over at Constellation Carousel, they've added some high-density foam blocks around the pond wall. These look like the same kind of blocks that were placed as flooring on the second floor of Super Nintendo World just a few months back. We now have the start of the concrete circle that will be in front of Constellation Carousel. The Constellation Carousel now has a decorative pattern on the blue panels that were recently installed. They also painted the smaller structure with gold to match the dome structure where the ride will be. At the front of the entrance area, they've continued to work on the landscaping. Grass and a variety of trees and plants have been added. It's looking very beautiful. This building over here is the restrooms. There are 2 concrete circles that have been covered to protect them as well. This restaurant over by the show fountain is believed to be called Meteor Astropub. Seen here are the window panes getting ready to be installed. Here is the most recent building to be constructed. They seem to be making great progress. All the frames have been placed and now there's a covering over it. It's believed this will be 2 different restaurants and that they will share a kitchen. In front of the cascading water feature at the show fountain is this bridge. They start working on a compass rose design and looks like they've added the very center of the star-like shape. Now let's go to How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk. One of the restaurants is over here called Spitfire Grill. Last we saw they were excavating in front of the restaurant. Now they have added a covering over this area to protect the recent concrete work. Before it was covered, they had rebar in place for concrete to be poured. On the top of what is believed to be the shop, How to Treat Your Dragon, they've added scaffolding around one of the dragon houses. Some green has been painted on the rock work. Workers can be seen on top of another platform that's been painted brown and will most likely have another dragon house on top of it. In front of Mead Hall, they have more concrete forms in place on the side of the entrance. Some concrete has already been poured inside the forms. On the other side of the mountain, more green has been painted, plus the pillars that hold up the dragon houses have color added to them. At the boat attraction, Fire Drill, seen here is a reach tester. This is to make sure that the theming is out of reach from guests. Next to the boat ride is the outdoor seating area for Fire Drill. Guests will be able to watch the boats go by as they eat. So far, just the entrance and exit frames have been done along with the themed rock wall that separates the area. Seen here is a staging of the targets that will be on the ride. A bunch of trees are stacked on top of each other. Targets have been added over here. There's also a wood bucket that looks like it's full of water. It could be one of the splash points where guests will get wet. Here, this looks like Stoic, Hiccup's father. Over at the family coaster, Hiccup's Wing Gliders, they've started adding these rocky spires to the outside queue. At the second launch of the coaster, we can get a good look at the dragon eggs. Some are cracked open. There's also a string of yellow lights. Here's a good look at the animatronic of Hiccup. This is in the first launch. We can actually get a sneak peek at Toothless. He's been completely covered in the past, but now we can see his front legs and body. Here is one of the other attractions, Dragon Racer Rally. Work has begun on the center between the spinning rides. The center is where the queue will be for the ride. On top of the portal, greenery has been added. In the village, they are continuing to work on the roof for what I believe is Gober's Forge. This will be his blacksmith shop. Outside the theater attraction is a gift shop. A roof is being added. Now let's go over to Dark Universe where monsters roam. The Burning Blade Tavern is where the hounds hang out. They are the monster hunters. The mill on top will erupt in flames every 20 minutes. Over here on top of the roof, it looks like rocks have been added. I think this is an outdoor seating area. Next to that are 2 really cool looking twisted trees. Here is the crypt. This is what we will see when we exit the portal. I believe it leads to the catacombs where the vampires live, although I don't think guests will actually be able to enter it. I think it says Frankenstein Catacombs on it. Here's the family roller coaster called Curse of the Werewolf. Maleva is the leader of the Mystics. The queue will be very colorful to represent the beauty and richness of the Guild of Mystics. Low to the ground, many dark green speakers can be seen along the queue. We will be warned that we bear the mark of the werewolf. Darkmoor is the village of Dark Universe. This is how the restaurant is looking so far. We now have the official name of the restaurant. It's called Das Steakhouse, where they will serve steaks on steaks, hamburgers, sandwiches, and ribs. Das Steakhouse is located on top of the catacombs where the vampires live. The restaurant is run by vampire familiars. In the center of the village is the well. It's not yet finished. We can see it a little bit in the concept art. It also has red fog coming out of it in the flyover, which looks really awesome. The flyover shows fog throughout the world, so hopefully that is what we'll get. It will bring so much ambience to Darkmoor, really making it come to life. The other side of the village is the retail shop. Seen here are some poles sticking out. This is where the sign will be placed for the shop called Pretorius Scientific Oddities. There will also be a Darkmoor monster makeup experience in Dr. Pretorius' old lab turned parlor. Guests will be transformed into monsters, or they can get a temporary tattoo. Here's DeLacy's cottage. They recently painted it brown and now have scaffolding on the side as they work to finish it up. This is where we can get cinnamon bread and the famous twisted taters. Here's Frankenstein Manor, where the main attraction to the land will be, called Monsters Unchained: The Frankenstein Experiment. 2 new spires can be seen here. Scaffolding now surrounds the manor once again, so we can't see too much. The entrance into the manor has been closed up. Probably don't want us to see anything inside. Just outside the village of Darkmoor is a cemetery where old gravestones can be seen. There's a statue amongst the tombstones. Over here it looks like this could be a grave that has a broken casket. The wood is not yet painted. More greenery and trees continue to be added around the extended queue to Monsters Unchained: The Frankenstein Experiment. The top of the walls now have similar texture to the walls going up to the manor entrance. The outer wall now has some color that was added to it to give it an aged appearance. Some fencing is being added in the middle of the extended queue. Now, let's take a look at Super Nintendo World to check on the construction progress over there. Here's the inner courtyard down below. The doorway off to the left is the exit to the 1-Up Factory. It will be much better than the version at Universal Studios Hollywood, where you have only one way in and out. Plus, it's also the exit for Mario Kart Ride, so it gets very congested at times. This shop will not have that problem, though, since this is not the exit gift shop for Mario Kart. All the ride vehicles have now been covered for Yoshi's Adventure Ride. Green flooring has been placed around the track for the ride. Here is a key challenge, Koopa Troopa Power Punch. The walls have recently been covered with the themed unpainted walls. On the ground is the stuff that will go on top of the walls. In Donkey Kong Country, there will be a Funky's Fly and Buy shop. On the ground behind the coaster, they have staged the airplane pieces as they get ready to place them on the metal frames that are surrounding the structure. Behind it, they've been building a wall that will hide the back of house from Super Nintendo World. A backdrop of trees has been added to this wall. The arrows are pointing to some foundations that will eventually have this on it, seen in the flyover. A covered minecart can be seen here on the track by the screaming pillars. Part of the cart is uncovered and it looks silver. Here's one of the obstacles the minecart will leap over. All the spikes are now unwrapped. Last update, some were still wrapped in plastic. Below the spikes, the bongo drums have been placed. This is believed to be an interactive element. The cement foundation with all the metal poking out of it is where the rhino will be placed inside crates. A new theming element has been added over by Yoshi's Adventure. It's a pokey character. Over at the Wizarding World Ministry of Magic, a bunch of color has been added to the facades. This is the side of the entrance to the Ministry of Magic ride. The yellow building has music notes and performers playing their instruments. Next to that facade, this building has words written in French. This means expert in cattle. The words above it say restoration specialist of ancient texts. A new theming element has been added to the top of this building. It's a globe with the word can on it. Over here, the blue building, I believe, is the exit to the ride. These words say Alchemy Eggshell. This is part of the Harry Potter lore. Alchemy eggs have a shell made of pure silver and are an essential ingredient for brewing Felix Felicis. The alchemy is also seen in the first Fantastic Beasts film. Here is the entrance to the Ministry of Magic ride. Workers are at the very top working on this ornate design at the top of the facade. Scaffolding surrounds the buildings in this section. This is the steps to nowhere, with the Basilique du Sacré-Cœur in the background. Here's how it will look according to the concept art. In front of the Helios Grand Hotel, work is being done near the entrance. Concrete forms are in place and rebarb has been added as they work to eventually fill it with concrete. The main dome on top has started to get the copper ring around the base, and more copper is lining the roof of the ballroom. Looking past the domes, here is a big circular concrete form under construction. This is off to the side of the show fountain. Here they're working on adding the roof panels on the porte cochere. In this more recent photo that's farther away, we can see the roof panels have all been placed. Here is a pool for the Helios Grand Hotel. Recently, some rectangular concrete forms have been added, plus a small building behind it has been constructed. Universal Stella Nova Resort hasn't changed too much from our last update. However, there is some recent concrete that's been paved by the pool and pool bar. And more concrete has been added to this corner as well. Here's how the Terra Luna Resort is looking. The colorful tiles have not been finished yet. There's still a ways to go. On the pool side of Terra Luna, they are working on making more concrete circles and have added more concrete around the building. The pool has a concrete form around the outside as well. The color reflective tiles really do make these resorts look beautiful and unique. It may be a lot of work to place each tile, but the end result is really worth it. That's it for our latest construction update. Thanks so much to BioReconstruct for the views inside Epic Universe. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.